the same, we share the love. Embracing the differences like having blood. Spreading peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. And now we stand, love's pure might. Watching the world share in love and light. Hearts beating as one, peaceful flag. Colors of harmony, leading the night. United we stand, love's pure might.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and watching the world. We have so much in store when it comes to the latest news, especially today. We have the meeting in the White House with Donald Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu. Everybody wants to know, will there be a deal made on Gaza? So we're going to tune in to see what this is all about. Right now, they're preparing for the press conference.
Anadolu kültürünü herkes işte kimisi Afganlara verdi, kimisi şuraya verdi, buraya verdi, Suriyeliler şimdi yok. Yani savaş çıksa ülkeyi savunacak adam var. Herkes kaçar. Ben gidip savunmam abi. Yani orada olsan savunursun. Ya savunursun ama orada olsan yani savun.
Hello, Bordeaux. How are you? We're just waiting for the press conference to kick off.
Almanya'da bir yer çalışsam aynı siyahta sahip olmak. Böyle görüyorsun. Medyanın iyice boku. Video yap çünkü şu yüzden. White House'un onu yapacak şey ekibi yok. Beyaz Saray basın ofisi zaten onunla uğraşacak zamanı yok. Bunlar değil mi? Herhalde canım. Yani para vermiştir. Soracağım onu. Dur basın ofisine sorayım ya. Ya bir şey soracağım ya. Siz böyle konuşuyor şu ya. Evet soracağım. Bunu kim yapıyor ya da gelen misafir ekip mi ödüyor? Çok büyük skandal olur biliyor musun biz ödüyorsak parasını. Oğlum benden duyduğunu söyle. Sikerler bizi. Efendim. Alo. Hakan. Hakan şimdi sesin geldi dostum. Tamam. Görüşürüz. Efendim dostum. Müdürüm. Tamam çekildim. Aradılar şimdi zaten başka bir gazeteden de arkadaşlar. Hadi görüşürüz.
All right. So we're waiting for the president along with Netanyahu to kick off the press conference to find out what's happening. Can you guys hear the clip okay? There's not a lot of sound in it anyway at this point. As we wait for the press conference, tell us where you're tuning in from. Where are you guys located?
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please hit the like button, share, and subscribe. We're waiting for the President and Prime Minister Netanyahu to break down were they able to make a deal in regards to Gaza, the Gaza plan. All right. Thank you, Michelle. Good morning, everyone. Yes, I can hear it very low. Okay. Thank you very much, Michelle. And also, Bordeaux says, thank you all for being here. All opinions are welcome, but please be respectful with your words in the chat. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much. All right, guys. So we're waiting for the President of the United States to have his press conference with Netanyahu. I'm going to mix this up a little bit. I'm going to monitor when they bring on Netanyahu with this press conference. But in the interim, we're going to go over a few reports that are out in the media. So stay tuned for that. First, we're going to kick off, starting off with Elon Musk and how Elon Musk is basically in the Epstein files. Are you guys shocked about that? Also, Steve Bannon. There's quite a few individuals that their names have come out. In fact, remember, Elon Musk is the individual that kicked off about the Epstein files. He was the one that tweeted. He said that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. He is the Epstein files. So let's take a look and see how now it's coming out this week that there's so many other people with prominent names that are in the Epstein files. And again, when the press conference kick off, we'll go right to it so we don't miss it.
Donald Trump supporters talk of him being immortalized on Mount Rushmore, but he got a less flattering statue on the National Mall this week, honoring his former friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. The scandal that Teflon Trump cannot shake, nor anyone else in Epstein's orbit. The latest leaked documents do not involve the president, but figures close to him. Last week, Trump shared a handshake with Elon Musk, a thaw after their fallout, when the Tesla founder said that the president was in the Epstein files. But now it's Musk who is named. The new pages, which are heavily redacted, were released by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee. In December 2014, there was a reminder for a visit from Musk to Epstein's island, with a note saying, "Is this still happening?" Musk has previously said he declined the invite. The document also lists a 2017 lunch with the conservative billionaire Peter Thiel, as well as a breakfast in 2019 with Steve Bannon, Trump's former White House chief strategist. None of this implicates these men in criminal behavior, but all of these potential meetings occurred after Epstein was a convicted pedophile.
Now, one thing I will tell you is that I posted on my personal Facebook under my personal name. I made a prediction that Donald Trump and Elon Musk would have a falling out, and that's just what happened. In fact, I based it on the whole concept that during Donald Trump's first reign as president, we'll say reign as president, if you go back and you look at the people that served within his administration, a lot of those people are no longer around. A lot of them, such as Michael Cohen, his fixer, his attorney, these individuals make videos every day about Donald Trump, and the list goes on and on. So I'm not surprised to see that Doge, at first it was working. They were trying to save money for the United States. Well, we see what happened with that now. In fact, recently, as of last month, Donald Trump talked about perhaps even kicking Elon Musk out of the country.
And just days after the Duchess of York was dropped by numerous charities because of an email she wrote to Epstein, her former husband's involvement with the late financier is once again front and center. The new documents show a massage for Andrew, along with yoga and exercise, listed in February 2000 for $200, with another massage for the same amount in May. The files don't specify this as Prince Andrew, but he is named in a passenger manifest also in May 2000, flying with Epstein alongside Ghislaine Maxwell. The prince has always strenuously denied any wrongdoing.
We gather here with a singular purpose, to reveal every name.
So what's interesting is that Epstein, as one man, right, at least that's what we think, he was able to reach the highest men around the world, right, in the highest places. And everybody's wondering, what does this mean? In fact, Tucker Carlson said that Epstein perhaps allegedly was a part of the Mossad, which there hasn't been any solid proof of that. But this is how they are trying to paint a picture of how he obtained his funding.
The family of Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre, who died this year, want the US government to release all the Epstein files.
I'm not surprised that you continue to lie.
The FBI director Kash Patel clashed with senators this month after his agency was widely criticized. Politicians in the House want to force a vote demanding the files.
Just to give you a little background history, when they mentioned Giuffre, she's the young lady that unalived herself at the earlier part of this year. And she was basically, as Donald Trump said out of his own mouth, she was taken from Mar-a-Lago. And I guess according to reports, she was somewhere around 16 or 17 years old when that occurred. And she was taken by none other than Epstein and Maxwell. So this is a terrifying event.
Are finally made public. There'd been one vote short, but the Democrats just won another seat. And here's what the winner said.
I will be the decisive 218 signature on the discharge petition to force a vote on the release of the Epstein files.
While the Trump-Epstein statue has now been chopped up and discarded, this scandal will not go away as politicians demand transparency and Epstein's victims ask for justice.
A lot of people feel like with all of the things happening in the media that the Epstein files would go away, but basically they haven't. And I don't really think it's going to happen when you look at the big picture. Now, recently here in New York, there was an ICE employee that threw a lady to the ground, and people are making a big deal about it, especially here in New York. So we're actually going to take a look at that. Thank you guys for hitting the like button and sharing. So let's take a look at this as well. And so far, the press conference is everybody's still waiting for it.
3 days left to fund the government. The White House is exerting maximum pressure on Democrats, threatening to fire, not furlough, thousands of federal workers if the government shuts down on October 1st, trying to force Democrats into accepting the...
So basically, this is the first time we're seeing the White House seeking to fire people instead of furloughing them. They want to fire these government employees over the government shutdown.
GOP short-term continuing resolution. Joining me now is Texas Congresswoman Julie Johnson. She's a member of the Homeland Security, Foreign Affairs, and Housing Administration Committees. Congresswoman, welcome. Thank you for joining me. So a senior White House official told Politico there are no current plans to negotiate with Democratic leadership, adding, quote, "We're going to extract maximum pain from Democrats and blame them for the shutdown." Do Democrats have any leverage to extract the health care concessions that they want and keep the government open?
Well, let's be perfectly clear. You know, the Republicans are in control of all three branches of government right now, and they control the House, the Senate, and the executive. And so this shutdown is on them. They have the ability to do what they're doing. And so they're the ones that put forth a budget that significantly harms the American people. And Democrats do not have to support something just because they're trying to cram it down our throats at great peril to the American people. And as you mentioned in your lead-in, you know, they're willing to threaten to fire hundreds of thousands of people and extract maximum pain. The pain is not on us as Democrats, or it's not on me, it's on the American people. And let's just be perfectly clear that the Republicans are willing to inflict great harm on the people that they claim to represent for a power grab.
Well, in fact, the White House, OMB, Office of Management and Budget, told agencies come up with a list for layoffs for employees whose activities are not consistent with President Trump's priorities. I mean, how do you respond to that? What are your concerns about potentially hundreds of thousands of fired federal employees and then the impact on government agencies?
Right. Well, you know, the administration has been trying to do this from the very beginning, right? They initially came out of the bag trying to fire hundreds of thousands of federal employees. The courts put a stop to that. They're really trying to weaponize the federal government.
So far during this administration, a lot of people have lost their jobs based on the job and the employment report. But now, if this does happen, it's only going to add to the list. Sir Knight 15 says, all I hear is boo-hoo-hoo. Okay, thank you for your comment.
For partisan purposes and a Puritan stance towards allegiance to President Trump and his policies that are inflicting great harm to the average American. You know, he only cares about a small handful of very wealthy donors that have supported him at great peril to the American people. And Democrats, we want people to have health care.
What do you guys think? Do you think the president's policies are causing great harm to the American people? Is it affecting people in your life? Tell us what you think.
You know, I want people to be able to go to the doctor and get treated and have when their mama has cancer, be able to get cancer treatment. When their baby breaks their arm, be able to get that fixed. You know, I want the average American to be able to get health care in this country, and that's what we're fighting for.
Okay, Six Roland says no. Okay, Bala Bear says MAGA is the future. Okay, all right. Michelle says yes. Wasn't that interesting? They all had one thing in common. They all are blocking the release, which is why we know some really big names are being hidden. I don't understand how this administration. Okay, thank you very much for your comment, Michelle. I agree with you. The Nothing Killer says no. Okay. All right. Thank you for your comment. And Bayou Bear says MAGA is winning. Okay. A lot of MAGA supporters here. Thank you guys for your comment.
Okay, let's pivot a bit because I want to play some of a report by NBC's Priscilla Thompson. It's about an ICE agent who was relieved of his duties after he threw an Ecuadorian woman to the floor at an immigration courthouse.
Now, I just want to tell you guys, I've been covering the Diddy's trial from the very beginning, and probably about 80% through the trial, they started with all of the King Me, or No Kings rather, No Kings protests. Well, some of the ICE agents would come and start arresting people in the vicinity, right? So it was quite aggressive, and I did see with my own eyes their faces were covered, but trust me, they were in full accord, and they used a lot of force. Well, they're taking on heat, and that's what we're about to see with this story.
Here in Manhattan, let's take a look at this.
The confrontation happening inside a Manhattan immigration facility, where ICE agents move in to detain a man after an asylum hearing. Later, his wife, Monica Moreta, telling an ICE agent her hair.
Now, as you watch this, tell us in the comment section, do you think they should use this type of force?
Had been pulled. The agent then lashing out, slamming her into a wall before shoving her to the ground. Moreta, who was from Ecuador, telling Telemundo, I've lived like this back in my country, she said. Coming here to the
She looks like a rather small lady, right?
United States, I thought I'd feel protected. DHS says the agent has been relieved of his duties, saying his conduct in the video is unacceptable.
Okay, relieved.
Not only that, he fell on top of her to a certain extent. So tell us what you think. Raphael says, called healthcare. Okay. The Nothing Killer says, how stupid can you be? The files have been with the Democrats forever, and they did nothing. Okay, good point. I saw an article last week that said perhaps Donald Trump is trying to protect Bill Clinton. What do you guys think about that? Sir Knight 15 says, our great nation is burdened with these infiltrators that have been installed at the highest levels of our government. You will be dealt with soon. Okay, Sir Knight, tell us how they will be dealt with. We want to know. Break it down for us. The Nothing Killer says, I swear Democrats are so stupid. They all run for the same old BS story at the same time, and it's always a lie. Okay, thank you, The Nothing Killer, for your expressions. Karen says, never. Okay, never. And The Nothing Killer says, not enough information. Okay, right. We do need more of a background story, and we'll try to get that for you. So thank you guys for your participation, and thank you for hitting the like button. We appreciate that as well. We're still waiting for Donald Trump and Netanyahu to have their press conference.
Of his duties, but the administration has not said whether the agent was suspended or fired. But what is your reaction to this? And do you agree with other Democratic lawmakers who say that, officer?
Based on what you saw, do you think the agent should have been suspended, fired, or do you think this is a nothing burger? Tell us what you think.
Should be criminally charged.
It is outrageous, and I think what we're seeing is just this over the top, very aggressive behavior by ICE agents. And I think you're seeing this real strong pushback. They're masked, they're unidentified, they're terrorizing people. This family.
Well, she's definitely putting up a good fight.
Was at a legal hearing in the courthouse trying to follow the rules to be here in legal status in this country, and they're pretty much snatched wrongfully in a hallway, and with such physical violence. And that's what you're seeing across the country, and I think that's why you're seeing such outrage from the American people towards.
It looks like her young daughter is there too. Wow.
These officers, but it's really towards their leadership and how they are guiding ICE in this country. This gentleman should be immediately terminated. It is unacceptable to behave that way and not just suspended.
Okay, she says immediately terminated. Let's see what some of you guys are saying about the matter. All right. Uncandy says spreading non-information. Okay, N.E. Homegrown says, yes, there's a new video of a Doge member telling all, and the Clintons, or DOJ member telling all, and the Clintons were on that plane. Ooh, okay, wow, that's pretty terrifying. Don't know if it's true or not, but that's not a good thought. The Nothing Killer says, I think there's an investigation going on with the Epstein files. FBI and CIA are in trouble. They apparently used the files for blackmail and tampering with the evidence. Okay, wow. Michelle says, yes, that was too much. Okay, that was too much. The way he threw her to the ground and essentially fell on top of her, or went on top of her. John Doe, welcome back. Nice to have you back. Says, this is the way they should be handled. Okay, aggressively perhaps. Okay, Sir Knight 15 says, freak around and find out. Okay, she found out. Okay, the Nothing Killer says, that is obstruction and resisting from what I see. Okay, so that's a twist. It's her fault. The Abbey of the Everyman says, stand your ground against ICE. Okay, you want them to resist. Okay. Castle Doctrine. Explain that to those in the audience that may not be familiar with it. Exploring Cabins in Mind says, so protesters yelling in officers' faces isn't harassment. Okay, that's a good point. Cheryl Porter says they are doing their job. Okay, their job is to clear out the country of illegal immigrants, correct? The Abbey of the Everyman says they are modern day Gestapo. Okay. Exploring Cabins and Mines says Obama was the king of deportation. Yes, I think to date, Barack Obama probably deported more than any other president. At least that's what we constantly see in the media. Sir Knight 15 says, if you are in the great nation illegally, you will be next. Okay, great point. The Abbey of the Everyman says, nah, you MAGA, and next, Sir Knight. Okay, Exploring Cabins and Mines says Obama was the king of deportation. Yes, indeed, he did deport a lot of people. Record numbers. Exploring Cabins and Mines says lefties want anarchy. Okay, let's get back to the video.
Point.
Well, some outrage after Wednesday's fatal shooting.
And by the way, guys, we're still waiting for Donald Trump and Netanyahu to come forward for the press conference. We're going to cover it here. We want to hear what you have to say in the audience. We're going to try to cover all your comments. We want everybody participating, all right? And please hit the like button and share to bring awareness to the channel.
At a Dallas ICE field office, rather, it was at least the fourth instance of violence at a Texas facility this year. The acting U.S. attorney for the district said that the suspect was motivated by hatred of ICE agents and committed, quote, the very definition of terrorism.
So I have a question for those of you in the comment section. If he was detesting ICE agents, why did he actually shoot the detainees of ICE? Could someone explain that for us?
So do you think these incidents reflect an organized pattern of violence or...
And we're talking about the incident that happened down in Dallas, Texas last week.
multiple violent lone actors?
I think they're multiple violent lone actors. You know, I think that what you're seeing is a generalized frustration in this country of what is happening, this unreasonable clampdown on people who are just here to work. You know, I toured an ICE facility about 2 weeks ago, just outside of Dallas. And, you know, over 70% of the people there have no criminal history whatsoever. So this ICE roundup is not of violent criminals as the administration's trying to project. These are folks, like one gentleman had been working in this country for 26 years in construction and has 4 children born in this country who are American citizens. And who's going to care for them? This is what you're seeing is a response to an outrage. And this is not the American government. This is not the values of democracy. This is not who we've historically been as a country and what we stand for. The way that we're having this unreasonable, terroristic, fear-inducing pattern of ICE and how they're interacting with the community. And you're seeing a very frustrated response by the American people.
Okay, let's get back to some of the comments here. We're going to try to get through. Thank you guys for participating. Please bear with me as I cover. Okay, a lot of Trump supporters in the comments. Lock-in says, what's that pile of crap on your head? Go Birds. Okay, I can't stand the Birds. Cowboys all day. You have to love them, right? Cowboys are the best. Doug Whitley says, Trump, Trump, Trump. Okay, he's definitely pushing Trump heavy and hard. The Abbey of Everyman says no. Okay, all right. David Johnson says Jared and Ivanka made, wow, $3 billion while serving in the White House. Okay, wow, that's trillion. That's crazy. Okay, Charm BY Day says laugh out loud. Michelle says they didn't have ICE agents cover their face in the past. Why are they hiding? Doing a legal job? Great question. We had asked the criminal defense attorney Calvin Johnson that about a week ago, and he had a pretty good explanation. He said that it's trying to protect the ICE agents so people don't come to their house and show violence to them. Okay, that was his explanation. Okay, Sir Knight 15 says demon rats are the only group that is upset in these criminals being deported. Go figure. Okay, so it's just the Democrats. Okay, Gray American says criminals as soon as they cross without proper vetting. I can agree with that. You have to follow the rules. That's a common thought. Okay. All right. David Johnson says the Trump boys have signed a deal for 6 Trump resorts in the Middle East for $6 billion. Wow, that's a lot of money. Making tons of money. XRP says lies. This is all lies. Okay, thank you for your explanation. The Nothing Killer says Castle doctrine only applies to your home. Stand your ground law is about self-defense from the attacker. Neither includes defense against lawful arrest or deportation. Thank you for the explanation. M guys laughing out loud, perhaps at the Dallas Cowboys winning the Super Bowl this year. Okay, Charmed B-Day says whatever, they could have got legal, but they didn't want to. Okay, all right. We're still waiting for Trump and Netanyahu. There's nothing yet. Fates Karma, welcome back. I hope everything's going good for you and your family. Give your wife our regards. We know you're going through a lot. Thank you for tuning in, even though you're going through some tough days. David Johnson says Fox News is reporting that Trump's new crypto coin is currently valued at $5 billion. Okay. The Abbey of the Everyman says ICE agents are scared. Ha ha ha. Okay. Charmed B-Day says because they are targeted by the left. So this is all from the left. Okay. Elvis says go Birds, Dallas stinks. Okay. He's not too happy with the Dallas Cowboys. Diane says Trump is inciting the violence. Trump needs to go. He is a criminal. The whole administration is corrupt. Okay. Not a fan of Donald Trump. Tom by Day says crazy birds. Yeah, we don't like those birds. David Johnson says the Trump family has made, wow, $16 trillion since serving in the White House. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Okay. All right. Andy Homegrown says, and welcome back to you. Thanks for coming back to the channel. These Mexicans had years to get their papers legalized. That's our fault. I can bring you to the water, but I can't force you to drink. Okay. All right. Thank you for your expression. 559 says Jeffrey Jones needs to retire himself. Okay. Let's get back to the video.
Let me ask you about Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who has ordered hundreds of senior military officers to Washington next week, where he is reportedly going to deliver a rally the troops message inspired by the warrior culture that he wants to instill at the Pentagon. Hegseth has not disclosed any specific reason for the meeting. To the hundreds of global officers traveling to Quantico, some fear he may make good on his call to downsize the number of generals and admirals. What do you make of this meeting?
You know, it is really bizarre that he's doing this, and it is so out of normal, ordinary protocol to summon, 800 of the top military leaders across the globe into one space on such short notice. And it really exposes, it keeps us vulnerable in our command structure across the globe, too. There's plenty of opportunities in our military for secure communications where our military leaders can stay in their post and command the troops that they are trusted to command. So this is a very, very unusual move, and it's never happened in the history of our military. When you look at it, it's really resemblant of actually, Hitler when he did this in the German military, commanding loyalty oaths. And I think that's one of the things we're all very concerned about is this with Trump trying to militarize. Try to put militarize our national cities and insert the National Guard into our communities here domestically, which is not the appropriate use of our military force. Are they trying to weaponize that? Is he trying to get the military generals on board with that and put these loyalty oaths to the president, not to the Constitution, as they swear under their oath to do? It's going to be very interesting.
It will be. Congresswoman Julie Johnson, thank you so much.
Okay, guys, for those of you that are just tuning in.
I wish my TV provider let me choose what I pay for.
Sling lets you do that, clock boy.
Let's put this past.
Choose and customize your channel lineup or pause and watch for free. Sling lets you do that. Base package required.
Well, join me right now. We have Christy Greenberg, former federal.
Okay, so for those of you just tuning in, we're covering Donald Trump and Netanyahu at the White House. The press conference should be soon, but we're just waiting. Just to give you a background on what's happening in Gaza, we're going to take a look at the latest report in regards to what's happening in the Middle East.
Or in Gaza. Moments ago, I spoke exclusively with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ahead of his pivotal meeting tomorrow at the White House with President Trump. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, thank you for joining the Sunday briefing. I want to start by asking you if you've seen this 21-point peace plan and if you plan to declare support for it at the White House tomorrow.
Well, we're working on it, Jackie. It's not been finalized yet, but we're working with President Trump's team, actually as we speak, and I hope we can make it a go because we want to free our hostages. We want to get rid of Hamas rule and have them disarmed, Gaza demilitarized, and a new future set up for Gazans and Israelis alike, and for the whole region.
According to some reports, if Israel and Hamas agree to this plan, the war would immediately end. The IDF will...
Do you guys think that Israel, by way of Netanyahu, that they really do want to end this war? Tell us what you think.
gradually withdraw from the Gaza Strip. All hostages will be returned within 48 hours. And then after that, Israel would free 1,000 Palestinian prisoners and aid will serve.
It sounds like a big deal, right? Sounds like a really big deal. All right. Let's get back to a few comments here. The Abbey of Every Man says fascists have no place in this democracy. Okay. Very good. Sir Knight 15 says Trump boys are businessmen. Making money is not against the law. What about the politicians working the stock market? Trump is your president. Okay. Thank you. Charm by Day says she's bizarre, probably talking about the previous anchor. Charm by Day says, I'm so sick of everybody saying that it's Hitler, that he's Hitler, like he's nothing like Hitler. He loves America, talking about Donald Trump. Michelle, thank you for all the participation. Michelle says, nothing is normal in this administration. Texting war plans. It's like the Three Stooges. Okay, all right. A lot going on. Sally says, nope. And the Abbey of Every Man says, hell no, they don't. Okay, RC2 says, only problem, let's see if I can find, only problem is that the Gazans hate Jews. Okay, so you said it's more on their end. 559 says they want Hamas dead, war over after. Okay, want them dead first. Solo Soldier says Israelis are good people. Okay, NE Homegrown says, this is the BS that happens when there are too many people in charge. Trump needs to arrest Prime Minister Netanyahu and arrest his ass for war crimes. Okay. Charm by Day says, oops, they want to be able to exist. That's what I think. Okay. McCree says, Trump only cares about Trump. A narcissist doesn't change overnight. Thank you for your comment. Brandon Hall says, who actually gives a F? Okay. Jay Sovereign says, Zionists lie through their teeth, so no, I don't believe him. Okay. CRXR, welcome back. If they had another Democratic election in Gaza right now, do you think they would elect Hamas again? Okay. Thank you, guys. Thanks for hitting the like button, sharing, and also subscribe if you like the material. Let's get back to the video.
Immediately, but Hamas members who choose to stay would get amnesty. And in your speech to the UN, you didn't indicate that amnesty is in the cards. Listen to this.
The final remnants of Hamas are holed up in Gaza City. They vow to repeat the atrocities of October 7th again and again and again, no matter how diminished their forces. That is why Israel must finish the job.
Will you agree to amnesty for Hamas?
Well, I think the details of this have to be worked out. But in previous statements, I said that if Hamas leaders, for example, are escorted out of the country, if they finish the war, release all the hostages, we let them out. That is something that I've said in the past, but it has to be worked out. All of that, I think, is part of the plan. I'm not going to preempt it because we're having these discussions exactly right now.
How many Hamas fighters do you estimate are left? Is it more than before the war started?
No, it's considerably less. But as we decimated them, what they did was they stole the food that we were giving to Gazan civilians, hiked up the prices, and then used it to fund the recruiting of replacements. And the replacements could be 14, 15-year-olds. That's what they're doing. I mean, they're actually blackmailing Palestinian families to give them their kids in order to fill the ranks that have been decimated by us. But no, it's not the same number.
All right. So do you guys think this is propaganda? you think he's actually telling the truth. Tell us what you think. Is this what the people are actually enduring? All right, let's see. We have here, we're going to go back. Any homegrown says Israel has no rhyme or reason to attack Palestine and innocent people. Okay, good point. Tron Bade says, thank you for being fair. You're welcome. You're welcome. It's refreshing. Nice to have you. Please stay around and subscribe. Stay in tune with the channel and hit the notification button so you can see when I go live. No More Good Name says, all I know is too many Americans are dying, and for me to be overly concerned with that area. Okay, yes, a lot of Americans are dying. A lot of people within the last couple of weeks have died due to gun violence, people having mass shootings. This world is out of control, especially in this country. Crown Bade says everyone should be willing to hear both sides, not just insulting one side. That's the beautiful thing about this channel. We have Republicans, Democrats, people of all different belief systems able to come together and have a meeting of the minds, or at least debate friendly without violence. That's what we like. Okay. Jay says genociding people is not serving God. Okay. You could base that on a scripture or two. David Johnson says it is Project 2025 plan to crush the American economy, allowing Trump to invoke emergency powers that will change the entire economy to allow monopolies in every sector of business. Thank you, David, for that breakdown. CRXR says, been watching Israel get attacked for over 30 years. The UN Security Council stopping them from retaliating every time. They're not stopping this time. Okay. XRP says, get more info because you're misinformed. Okay. MB123 says, it's true. Dale Babcock says, so he's admitting that if Israeli soldiers is letting Hamas take the food. Wow. They're receiving pressure, according to what he said, from Hamas, and then they're also getting bombs dropped on their head all at the same time. This is crazy. The Abbey of Every Man says it's propaganda. He's lying. Okay, a lot of people feel that way. I see more and more of that, especially on YouTube and even the media. And we have people like Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones. They're coming forward to speak up opposite of Israel. I think that's something to take a look at. N.E. Homegrown says, all propaganda, believe nothing. Okay. No More Good Name says, because you're okay. All right. That was a correction. Lovey Tim says he's lying. Julie Jew says it's propaganda. He's lying. A lot of people feel that Netanyahu is lying. MB123 says they have been streaming supplies for 50 years. Same with Africa warlords. Okay. All right. Any Homegrown says, and you make it fair for us. I like that. Okay, yes, we do. We want to keep it fair. We want to keep everybody able to feel wanted around and want to be heard. We want to hear from everybody. Julie Jewel says, Israel has attacked. You can leave your labels at the door. We're not coming in with labels of what color, what whatever. We're just here to have conversation. Julie Jewell says Israel has attacked more countries in the last 50 years than anyone else. Bibi doesn't want the war to end because he will go to prison. They're going to lock him up. Okay. Michelle says, yes, this channel is very good. Most people are very respectful. Okay, very good. David's back at it. David says the battle in our country isn't left versus right. It's the have and the have-nots. Okay. Yes, indeed. That's so true. Nolo says Israel is the world's greatest enemy ever. Okay. The Abbey of Every Man says, I agree, David. And Michelle says she agrees with David too. David, everybody agrees with you.
At all. And by the way, you have Gazans now fighting Hamas and say, we've had enough of this. We have to have something else. And they're fighting Hamas. They're killing Hamas. Some of them are dying in the process because they've had enough. And I fully understand them.
Some of the reported plan also touches your red lines. In the beginning, a temporary group of Palestinian technocrats supervised by the U.S. would administer Gaza services and fund its redevelopment until the Palestinian Authority has completed its reform program. But just days ago, you indicated you would not accept any future role for the Palestinian Authority. I want to play what you said at the UN.
I hear from the Western leaders. They tell me, the PA promised us it will reform. Yeah, right. Giving the Palestinians a state 1 mile from Jerusalem after October 7th is like giving Al-Qaeda a state 1 mile from New York City after September 11th. This is sheer madness. It's insane, and we won't do it.
Is that still a red line for you?
Yeah, I haven't changed my positions, and I think that the credibility or the likelihood of the things, a reformed Palestinian Authority that changes completely its stripes, that accepts a Jewish state, that teaches its children to embrace coexistence and friendship with the Jewish state rather than living their lives in order to annihilate it and perhaps committing suicide bombs, strapping suicide bombs in order to get it. And all these other things, pay for slay, they pay terrorists to murder Jews, and the more Jews they murder, the more they pay. If all of that is turned on its head.
All right, so he's basically saying it's all their fault. Okay, RC2 says, I was a have-not, then I went to work, and now I am a have. Okay, RC also says, I didn't cry and point my finger to rich people. Good point. The Abbey of Every Man says, you got to wake up, RC2. Bruce is loose says, RC2, that's kind of funny. Who knew you would get a job and they pay you for your time? What a concept.
There's a tremendous transformation. Well, good luck. Some people will believe it happens. I don't think it's going to happen.
I want to ask also about the point of the plan that calls for Israel not to carry out any future strikes in Qatar. The strikes caused some deep frustration at the White House and with Arab states in the region. None of the Hamas leaders that were targeted were actually killed. Do you still believe that those strikes in Qatar were worth it?
Look, I think that the United States and any self-respecting country doesn't give a pass to terrorists. And of course, we weren't attacking Qatar any more than you were attacking Pakistan. When you took out bin Laden, you went after bin Laden, not Pakistan. But these things, again, will be worked out because our goal was that. Our goal was Hamas, not anything beyond it. I think we can work out an understanding on this. In any case, I don't think it's, I think it's common sense. Everybody understands that. But even those who protest against it.
There are some indications, though, that it has jeopardized one of President Trump's legacy achievements, the Abraham Accords. You had the UAE, which normalized relations with your country under President Trump's first term, calling the strikes a grave breach of international law and the UN Charter, an irresponsible escalation that threatens regional and international peace and security. Are you saying that eradicating Hamas is more important than the Abraham Accords?
No, I think the Abraham Accords brokered by President Trump with me and the leader of the UAE, I think they've been remarkably resilient and strong. We've been now through 2 years of war, and they've held up very well. We've got commerce going both ways. We've got Israelis just going back and forth to the Gulf states. We have cooperation between our two countries. It's very strong. And I think that the defeat of the Iran terror axis and the defeat of Hamas and the ending of the hostage situation in Gaza will improve it even further. I think there are many possibilities for peace, which I'm discussing with President Trump and his team. And
What do you think is the heart of all this war? Do you think it's like in Bible time, it all stems down to land? They're fighting over the promised land. Tell us what you think. Nolo says Netanyahu has to be arrested and imprisoned for the crimes against the world. Okay. Bruce is loose says if Hamas would give Israel back her people, all this would stop. Okay. Do you think that's the case? Bruce is loose says they still holding hostages. And the Abbey of Every Man says I doubt it would stop. And Rick Young, welcome in. Thank you for tuning in and participating. It's the Israeli that keeps restarting the war or battles. Okay, so it's all on Israel. Annie Homegrown says, baby rapper Clinton's and Netanyahu, that's why Trump is not releasing the actual Epstein files. It's all connected. Okay, good point. Thank you for your participation. Lolly Watt says, rich, spoiled men who are greedy. Okay, so you think greed is at the heart of the matter?
Plan to seize them. I think you'll see that they not only are the Abraham Accords not endangered, they'll be expanded to other countries.
Did Israel provide any warning to the U.S. about these strikes?
Well, I said it was a wholly independent Israeli operation. You know, we initiated it and we conducted it, and that hasn't changed. It's a simple truth.
If you felt that it was going to ultimately help your position to bring the war to an end, why not coordinate with the U.S.?
Well, I'll just repeat what I said. It was a wholly independent operation initiated by us and conducted by us and us alone.
How is your relationship with President Trump now?
It's actually unparalleled in the history of our two nations. It doesn't mean we agree on everything, but we agree on the substantive.
I think he's met with Donald Trump, including today, up to 5 times already. So that's something to take a look at. All right. She says, like the Bible explains, it's a battle amongst evil and good. There are many parts of evil involved here. Okay. Thank you. That was heartfelt. RC2 says TDS is real. Bruce's Lou says, it's prophesied in the Bible Israel would be at war, and yes, Israel is wanted. Everyone around Israel wants the land. Okay, and that goes back to the very beginning of in the Hebrew scriptures, where you see it's all about the promised land, fighting for land. She says he doesn't straight up answer her questions. That's a good observation. Any Homegrown says, just like Israel back to Palestine and withdrawal. And Hamza Mahmoud says they don't want to involve U.S. because of the shady stuff they're hiding. Okay, all right, very good. Thank you very much for your comments. We're going to move on here, and we're going to get to this shooting that occurred yesterday. In the church, believe it or not, I believe it was a Mormon church. Let's see what happened.
We begin with Madeline Rivera with the latest on that horrific attack in Michigan. Maddie.
Hi, good morning, guys. That's right. Local police say they're working around the clock trying to find more bodies because, unfortunately, as of last night, there were some people still unaccounted for. The attack happened yesterday morning at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc, Michigan. Hundreds of people were inside worshiping when police say the gunman rammed his car into the front doors. Authorities say he got out of the car and started shooting before officers arrived and exchanged fire with him, killing him. Police say the gunman deliberately set the church on fire. It was engulfed in flames for a couple of hours, and unfortunately, it is a total loss. In addition to the shooting and fire, Michigan State Police say authorities were handling reports of bomb threats in the area after the incident.
I can confirm at this time that the FBI is now leading the investigation and is investigating this as an act of targeted violence.
We received 911 calls about bomb threats or other indications that there was a bomb at a different location. Some of them were churches, and we responded and cleared those locations.
I'd also like to acknowledge the heroism of not only the first responders, but the people who were inside.
Do you guys think that as they investigate this more and more, they're going to find out that he was a previous member, disgruntled about something that had happened, maybe about religion in general? What do you guys think?
That church at the time. They were shielding the children who were also present within the church, moving them to safety.
Imagine those poor kids. They must have been terrified, right?
Just hundreds of people just practicing their faith.
Police have identified the suspect as 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford from Burton, Michigan, about 10 minutes from Grand Blanc. Investigators are executing search warrants at his home. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer says violence in a place of worship is unacceptable. She's ordered flags across the state to be lowered to half staff to honor the victims. Carly and Todd.
Madeline Rivera, thank you. With that, let us bring in former Assistant FBI Director Chris Swecker. Chris, are you hearing anything from your sources as to motive in an attack that you heard a member of the FBI call targeted violence?
No, but I'll tell you this. You can.
All right. Before you answer, let's get to a few of the comments here. See what everybody's saying. Bruce's Lou says Palestine was named Palestine from the Romans to eliminate the Jews. Okay, I was in Rome about a year ago. I had a great time. Next trip, I'm going to Greece. So I enjoy going to those places. Learn a lot of history. She says, terrible. My goodness. When will enough be enough? Okay. I don't think it's going to happen, folks. It's not going to happen. It's going to continue. Maldo says Democrats strike again. Okay, so you think it was a Democrat who did it? Okay, she, and that's what's so confusing after most of the events that involve shootings now, especially on social media, people immediately start saying, oh, it's the left doing it again. Oh, it's the right doing it again, instead of just focusing on the horrible incidents and what the people suffered, right? But that's a great comment, she. The Abbey of the Everyman says it wouldn't be the first time a disgruntled former member did something like this, right? It happens in churches a lot. People are bitter and they want to express themselves, so they feel like violence is the only way. Guys, we're still waiting for Donald Trump and Netanyahu to come forward with this press conference. In the interim, we're going through some of the hot topics. And thank you guys for all your participation. I really do appreciate it. Okay, Bruce's Blue says there have been 5 church shootings since March. Oh my, that is crazy. Bruce is Blue says, I would love to go to Rome. I'm jelly, right? It's a great trip. I actually did the bus tour. I flew there and I ended the trip in Venice, I believe. I think the local people call it Venice, something like that. But incredible. It's like mind-blowing. But I'm not sure if Greece is going to top it, but I'm looking forward to Greece too. All right. RC2 says people need to stop turning to violence over disagreements. That's so true. And that's why it's nice to see that even though we have a lot of people here from different sides of the aisle, we're able to come to some sort of agreement or at least have a friendly conversation. The Abbey of Everyman says no proof the guy is Democrat or Republican. My bet he is a Republican. Okay. All right. So you think he's a Republican. The Abbey of Everyman says rest in peace for the 4 people. Bruce's Lou says Jesus said Christians should be hated and it's coming true. Okay. They hate the Christians. Carpe Diem says the guy was MAGA 100%. He even had plenty of those hats and shirts with your cult leader on in most of his photos. So this guy was a Trump supporter, a MAGA. Wow. Okay. Bruce's Lou says would not should. Okay. All right. Let's get back to it to see how this guy answers.
The tip-off is that the FBI has taken the lead. That means they're treating this as either a hate crime or an act of domestic terrorism. Targeted violence means targeted at someone or a group of people in an effort to intimidate or inflict violence in the furtherance of social change or political change. I mean, it's a convoluted explanation, but it's either domestic terrorism or hate crime. Regardless, that's that they have already actually attributed a motive to this individual already. So they must know quite a bit about him, his writings, his postings, interviews with his friends and family, his social circle, anything that might have been in his car or his pockets. I think the investigation is deep into it at this point with regard to motive.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that. How does the FBI, you mentioned some of the items there, but how do they begin really to piece together the motive, especially that focus on his time as a Marine? Because you certainly go to the mental health consequences of serving in our military that so many men and women encounter when they come back home.
Yeah, I've done some work for the military in this regard at Fort Hood, and the military struggles with this. Mental health is a big issue. Obviously, they have quite a few disproportionate number of suicides. This wasn't the only Marine veteran that committed violence over the last few days. We had one here in North Carolina at a place that I frequent, a bar restaurant in Southport, North Carolina. Marine veteran. Both of them had mental issues. Both of them had done a GoFundMe page very recently before the shooting to try to raise funds. One for the boat that he used to commit the shooting, the other one for his sick child. So, this is a situation of you find a manufactured grievance, if you will, and then a whole lot of stimulus from people either on the internet or even politicians, irresponsible politicians. We all know who they are. They're talking about Nazis and anarchists and existential threats. They need to crawl back into their dark places. These people are out there. That has to be taken into account when you start firing off your mouth.
Okay, when you start firing off your mouth. Okay, the Abbey of Every Man says, seemed like I won the bet. Perhaps that it was a Republican, not a Democrat who did this. Okay, Bruce is loose says, and what about the bar that got shot up from the water? Yes, that's who he was just talking about, the guy. That was another shooting that occurred over the weekend. And if I'm not mistaken, both individuals had a sick child. So we have some John Q-ism going on, perhaps, not sure. Just private speculation. Bruce is loose says, mental health is a huge issue in this country. Yes, around the world. Bordeaux says, thank you all for being here. All opinions are welcome, but please be respectful with your words in the chat. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Bordeaux, for all you do. The Abbey of Every Man says, we need to take better care of our veterans. Okay. Bruce is loose says, you're right to the Abbey. Okay. Hamza Mahmoud says, there should be a mandatory psychological evaluation after coming back from a deployment. Now, I don't know how true this is, but I have the West Point Veteran Hospital near me, and sometimes I run into neighbors who actually served in the military. In fact, two of my local neighbors are sharpshooters. Can you think about that? That's amazing too, and they're neighbors. So, what are the chances of that? They're both, I believe, in their 70s or 80s. But anyway, we're near the West Point. And so one of the doctors that actually there said that more men had taken their lives, unalived themselves since the war in Vietnam than that actually died there. So can you imagine the toll that these wars take on individuals, and then they come back and live in normal society? That's something to think about. Hamza Mahmoud says, okay, that's Bruce's loose says, they do evaluate. Okay, thank you guys for that continued conversation.
Yeah, to be clear, Chris, the shooting in North Carolina, Fox News has not yet confirmed that that individual was a Marine, but we're working to do that and get that to our viewers. Finally, with these recent attacks on churches, do we now need to harden places of worship like we do many schools?
Unfortunately, yes. When I do school security assessments, I tell them that your first line of defense, the gold standard, is an armed off-duty police officer, preferably, or a private security guard outside in a marked patrol unit, sitting, or at least with a marked patrol unit nearby. It's just your first line of defense. You have to have it, among other things, access controls, security cameras. And your clergy and your deacons and your ushers all need to have some, need to be on the looking out for suspicious activities. There's sort of your ground radar, if you will, your eyes and ears. And then, of course, the parishioners and the family, when the red flags are raised, they need to tell somebody. In these cases, there usually are red flags going off or red flags being shown, red lights. There's something. They're in distress. And they're about to go off.
It's so sad that it has come to this, because all people want to do when they go into a house of worship is have.
Okay, so I want to ask you guys, name a place or two where incidents have occurred of shootings in the last year. And I'll just pick one, the shooting that happened at the CBS in Georgia. The guy shot at the CDC building. So name a place where they should consider posting guards or security there all the time. Tell us what you think.
Some time alone with the Lord.
Times have really changed, folks. You have to get with the program.
Their thoughts in the Lord, and the fact that they need to think about this is horrific. Chris Swecker, thank you, sir.
Okay, very good.
Have you?
Okay, so now we're going to cover a lady that was actually present inside the church. Let's take a look and see what she said occurred from her own eyewitness testimony as she fled the building.
Paula was in that vehicle. You were in that car when the shooting happened. You were inside the church.
I was inside the church.
You were inside the church. So walk me through what happened.
Okay, we went to church. We sat down. We had just gotten done with our sacrament, the sacrament for our meeting. One of our counselors was up speaking, and we heard a big bang, and the doors blew. And then everybody rushed out, and we went through the church and out through the parking lot. They were trying to get us down to the lake. But the lady that I was trying to help out, she couldn't make it that far, so we got us back up in the parking lot and got us into the Taylor's car. When we got in the cars and we flipped around, and that's when the shooter started shooting at the car. And Brother Taylor is fine. It hit his hand, and then we got over there and we came here, and these nice people let us in, and we've been here since.
I'm so sorry for you to experience something like that. Words will never be enough to tell you how scary of a situation this was. 10:30, this unfolded. When you heard the loud bang, when you heard the gunshots, what was going through your mind at that point in time?
Surreal. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, what would go through your mind? Just try to run for cover, right? Okay, Bruce is loose says it's coming to that. A guard. Okay, Sir Knight says, let's see, let's go back a little bit. Bruce is loose says, we here in Tennessee have a K-9 unit outside the schools. Okay, thank you for that information. That's good to have such aggressive security at schools this day and time. Sir Knight 15 says, all soldiers returning from combat do get an evaluation after returning. I know this from experience. 2 combat tours, disabled veteran here. Thank you for your service, Sir Knight, and thank you for your participation in this show. You've been commenting heavy, and we love it. Roberto says they should legalize guns. Sultan citizens could protect other citizens. Okay, the comments are moving so fast. The Abbey of Every Man says, thank you for your service, Sir Knight. Yes, indeed, we definitely feel that way. Trevor says, it has been confirmed he was a green guy. Doesn't matter. We don't want to know the race. Shell shock to blame. Okay. All right. Ex-military, that is. Sir Knight 15 says, my honor. Yes, indeed. Roberto says, yes, you find a better reform to legalize guns. Okay. All right. Thank you.
And I didn't know if we were going to have to get down because we couldn't see anybody. You know, we couldn't see. So I'm not sure if he came in the building or not because he was outside, you know, obviously when we, so, but it was just scary. I mean, I came to worship my Savior Jesus Christ, and I didn't expect this to happen, of course, you know.
And keep in mind, they had hundreds of people there. So this place was massive. And he burnt it down.
It has, you know, it's, and I've lost friends in there.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
And some of my little primary children that I teach on Sundays were hurt.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
So it's very devastating for me. I'm glad that.
Okay, so she was a Sunday school teacher, and this affected some of her students. That's so sad. All right. Roberto says guns are not the problem, as people don't know how to manage guns. Okay. First Amendment USA, welcome back. Always appreciate your continued support. Another senseless shooting when the giant memorial in a stadium, convicted felon Donald J. Trump and the Republicans send in just thoughts and prayers. Nothing else will happen. It's disgusting. Normal people get screwed. Okay. All right. Shout out to you, JDP. Michelle says, thank you for your service. Okay. Sammy says, you don't understand why they want us not to have guns, right? You see what's happening in the UK where you're being arrested for speech. Literally, a man was arrested for a joke. Okay, that's starting to sound like some Jimmy Kimmel activity, right? Sammy, and thank you for that comment. Sammy says, it's not the guns, it's rap culture, honestly. Okay. Sir Knight 15 says, it all comes down to your either an American patriot or an anti-American traitor. Okay. All right. Shout out to you. Mark is in the building. Welcome back, guys. We're still waiting for Donald Trump and Netanyahu to come out and give this press conference. I've been monitoring it for over an hour. So they must be having some heavy exchange there. So who knows when it may happen. Carpe Diem says rap culture. Okay. DJ says, Sammy, did you say rap culture? When most of these people have crazy reasons, they do what they do. Okay. All right. Quite the discussion going on, folks. Thanks for your support. Please hit the like button if you could. Share and subscribe.
That I'm all right, and Brother Taylor and the people that are okay got it out okay. But I mourn for the people who lost loved ones and whose loved ones are hurt.
We all pray for the families and the victims impacted in this. Can you tell me, was there security at the church?
I'm not sure what the question is. You mean,
do you have security at the church? No. So there's no security at the church. Are you hearing about, was the suspect a parishioner or someone completely unknown?
We don't know who. I don't know who he was. I don't know if he was a parishioner. None of us know.
Okay.
We always know, and we don't just know that he's deceased, but we don't know.
Paula, obviously.
I hope it wasn't a parishioner.
So the shooter, as you know, is deceased. Maybe not everyone knew that, so I just wanted to highlight that.
Right.
Now, this shooter actually had an exchange with the police, and that's how he lost his life.
Looking at this situation right now, we're looking at, multiple law enforcement agencies over here, multiple fire departments, first responders. What are you?
I mean, this guy came to do war. I mean, he ran his vehicle into the building, right? Then he got out. He was powing people. We don't want to use that word, I guess. And then on top of that, he set the place on fire. Wow.
Seeing right now.
Devastation. Oh. Charity, I'm on TV. I got to go. I'll call you back.
So
that was a family.
It's totally understand. I can understand family is really concerned right now. But
oh, yeah, I'm the mother.
So once again, you were telling me you see devastation right now.
Yeah, I mean, our church is gone. I joined the church 38 years ago in that building, and now it's gone. 38 years.
Okay, DJ said, just shared you. Thank you so much for sharing the video. I appreciate that. Thanks for the likes and the subscriptions too.
In that church, and it's gone.
I was told that there were about 150 parishioners in there at the time.
Oh, easy. Men, women, and children, yes. Yes. And it's devastating to know that I lost friends, and just to see somebody would do this to my church.
I also believe that you're cordoned off right now, just like myself. We can't really leave this area. I just also want to show to our viewers and back in the studio that we are kind of cordoned off by law enforcement over here, so you can't get back anywhere. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? At what time did you get here this morning? Where did you come from? And where are you trying to go at this point in time?
Well, I live in Fenton, but I pick up my friend Rose here in Grand Blanc off of in Thornridge Apartments. We got to the parking lot at 9:33, like I used to do. Went into the church at 9:40.
If you look at the lower third of the video, it says that there was a Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall not far from this church.
And I'd sit and talk to my friends and stuff, and then church started, and we went through the service. We sang our songs, and it's just devastating. I mean, everything was going well. We were worshiping our Savior Jesus Christ, and then this happens. But it's not shaking my faith. I don't know what happened, and I don't know why, and probably never will.
At some point, the physical healing will begin, but the mental and emotional, will that ever begin?
I don't know. I don't know. I just pray that it does.
Okay. All right. So we're going to take a look at one more here that was actually there on site for the event that happened yesterday.
Apprehend. Shortly after we learned about this, we sent somebody down there. We were able to speak with somebody at the scene who actually survived the mass shooting, and they're giving us their firsthand perspective. Take a listen to that.
Okay, before we hear that, I want to go through some of the comments. Okay, let's see. Roberto says, blessing to all the families. Yes, indeed. Roxy Kelly, welcome in. Thank you for your participation too. That is so sad. Okay, and Michelle says, this was a very sad event. I hope people can come together and support one another. Okay, thank you.
And you were shot today.
Shot at. Luckily, yeah, the windshield. This is just shrapnel from the windshield that was as he shot at our car as we were trying to drive away.
And that's your car, the purple one?
Yeah, the maroon Flex. Yeah. I
got a picture of it or a little video of it. Tell me what was going through your head as that kind of was transpiring.
Honestly, get my wife away and then find my son.
So your son wasn't with you. Do you know where he was?
Sorry, that makes me want to more. He was in another vehicle. We were on the phone with him. He was ducked down in another vehicle trying to just lay low.
And you ended up getting in contact with him and he was okay?
we were actually on the phone with him when the shooter came out the door. And then that's when I just put pedal to the metal to try to get out. And that's when he started shooting at our vehicle. And that's what we saw there.
And tell me what led up, like what did you see leading up to your...
So this guy was shooting at cars too. Man, this guy was out of control. Roxy Kelly says, I love your show. Thank you. I am a fan. Thank you so much. And I appreciate your support. Trevor says he's still on the battlefield. The VA needs to step up their service. We come home, we're not getting 100% respect. Thank you for your service. Ain't enough. Okay, thank you for your firsthand comment on this, Trevor, given your experience as well. We appreciate your service. Roberto says, this is the biggest example. If other pedestrians would have a gun to protect other citizens, it wouldn't end differently. Okay, that's a good point. I think when it comes to churches, they definitely need armed security on deck. Roberto says, yes, you could be a Christian, but you also could be protected. Okay. Roberto also says, and yes, a gun is dangerous as evil, but on the right hands, it is to protect your life and the lives of others. And Sammy, thank you, Sammy, for all your participation. Honestly, that's the truth. They don't take care of vets. They care more about illegals than they do people who fought for the country. Okay. AI, Botanica says, even Rambo did not harm civilians. Okay.
Windshield kind of exploding or the bullet coming through?
Church had started at 10 o'clock. We had our opening congregational hymn. We were getting ready to take the sacrament, and we heard a loud bang. And then we saw that the front wall, so the front part of the chapel, the wall was cracked. And so we at first figured somebody accidentally had done something. So we started rushing out to go help. And then as soon as I saw the American flags on the truck, and that it was on purpose, and somebody yelled that it was on purpose, I started trying to get people out of the area and away, to disperse away.
And
all right, so he pulled up with flags on his truck. Patriotic, right? But he did this terrible deed. Carpe Diem says, honestly, none of us is immune to crashing out, divorce, sickness, job loss. Anything can be the catalyst. This won't even change until we do. Roxy Kelly is back at us again. Okay. Some don't have poppies off, and them all love the poppies safe. Okay.
I guess how soon, like, from you getting injured did you realize that you were getting shot at? Like, did all that happen first and then you got shot at?
No. So yeah, all of that happened first,
Okay.
and then I was kind of trying to gather people, trying to find my wife. I ended up finding my wife, and then we went to our vehicle. We called our son, found out he was in another car. I was trying to go to get to that car so that I could get him in the vehicle. There were some elderly ladies and some sisters in our ward that are in our congregation that we brought into our vehicle so that because they can't run very fast, and so we just wanted to make sure that they were safe. As soon as I saw the door open with the shooter and with his rifle, that's when I tried to drive away, and that's when he shot at us. And so there was multiple shots, probably a few dozen before that even happened. I didn't see anybody else get shot. I'm aware, from what I know, there are people that were shot, and some that, at least one that I know of that was killed.
And kind of in the aftermath, and in this point you're at right now, what's going through your head right now?
Just confusion. It's you want to make sense of these things. You never will. It's a mental illness, I'm assuming. It really can't be anything else. So there's really not a way for us to, over the next few days, people are going to say, oh, it's because of this and because of that and because of this. And the reality is, I'm sure it was just some individual who was sick in the head.
Okay, guys, so we're going to tune in to the actual press conference. It looks like they're getting ready to start it now. So let's see. Thank you guys for your patience.
What? Jacket? Oh. I think it's the one I folded up out there before. It's probably out there.
So before we get started with the press conference, while we're waiting, do you guys think they have a deal or no deal? Do you think Netanyahu complied and this is going to move forward? What do you guys think? Tell us. Roberto says, thank you for having me on your channel. Yes, indeed, Roberto. Nice to have you. Please come back and hang out with us.
Roll with me. So before you take them, number one is a red one. Okay. Everything else is numbered. Okay. They're locked. They have the power on already. So do you have a specific side that you want 1, 2, and 3, and 4 to be on? They're going to mix them up anyway. They're going to mix them up anyway. Yeah. So I'm just going to turn them off on the board per chain, and when they say questions, I'm gonna turn them back on the board. Yep. All the mics will be hot. Yep. That's fine. Yeah, that works. And then you'll turn off the ones that's not moving.
Okay, Roberto says no deal. Roxy says I'm going to say deal. Okay. AI Botanica says nothing new in the script. Okay. Michelle says no deal. Carpedine says lip service is all this is. Performative propaganda for their bases. Same old-ish, just a different day. Roberto says if our president had more experience in the political world, maybe. Okay. Thank you. Okay, Ravan Skywalker says, wait, Trump is still not in jail. What a fraud. Okay, all right. Purnell says, hit the like button and subscribe and double tap the screen, please. Okay, AI Botanica says, under Arafat, none of this would have occurred. Is the Gaza side even alive? Great question. Okay. All right, so we're still waiting for Donald Trump and Netanyahu to come forward for the press conference. Okay, Roberto says, is the hat that makes the studio better. Yes, go Cowboys. Michelle says, feels like waiting for your best friend to find out if she likes the guy. Good point. Maybe if the meeting goes bad, there won't be any press conference. Okay, Roberto says, question, who's doing the landscaping for the White House right now? Guys, hit the like button if you don't mind. Share and subscribe. It looks like hopefully we'll kick off here soon. Okay, Roberto says, I'm surprised to see a guard at the door, not a drone. That's a good one. Michelle says, gotta run. Have a lovely day, everyone. Shout out to you, Michelle. Appreciate you so much. Roberto says, let's all enjoy the view because we're not getting that conference. Okay. RC2 says, is that the White House? Are they building a Holiday Inn next to it? I saw that. It looks like that might be some residence building. JDP says, enjoying the show. Like, share, and subscribe, and turn on your notifications. Okay. And Doe posts a globe for watching the world. It just came out in the media that Netanyahu apologized to Qatar, I guess, for the firing that happened recently. So maybe we'll hear more about that. Okay. The Abbey of Every Man says this is going to be interesting. Okay. AI Botanica says everyone agreed to sign up for the Ben Gurion Canal project. That would be my guess. Okay, Roberto says, what do you guys see different on the flags? Okay. And we got Fish says Trump rules. Okay, strong Trump supporter. This war has been going on way too long. Time to straighten some things out or flatten them out. Okay. James Arnold said, God bless. Dennis Daly says the flag doesn't have the gold fringe showing.
Build a website you love with Wix. For your words,
Okay, Roberto says which flag is touching the ground and which one is not. Dennis Daly says gold around the flag meant we are in debt. Okay, Roberto says the respect starts on the flag.
I was so confident.
No, a veces la son.
Ja, hier ist Rockles. Hier ist Rockles. נכון, קודם כל בוא נראה את התמונה. התמונה מספרת אולי את הסיפור יותר מכל, זה עולה מחשבון הטוויטר הכספי של הבית הלבן. הייתה שיחה טלפונית של טראמפ, נתניהו וראש ממשלת קטאר, אתם יכולים לראות שזה עכשיו על המסך. עכשיו אני יכול להביא לך את הציטוטים, את הדברים שאמר נתניהו לקטארי, אלו הציטוטים. אדוני ראש הממשלה, אני יודע שאתה אדוני ראש הממשלה, אני רוצה שתדע שישראל מתחרטת על התקיפה של אחד מהאזרחים שלכם שנהרג בתקיפה שלנו. אני רוצה להבטיח לך שישראל כיוונה לחמאס, לא לקטאר. אני עוד רוצה להבטיח לך שלישראל לא הייתה שום תוכנית להפריד את הריבונות שלך, ולא נעשה זאת יותר בעתיד, ואני הבהרתי את זה ונתתי התחייבות לנשיא טראמפ. אני יודע שלהנהגה שלך, אומר נתניהו, יש הסתייגויות ותלונות נגד ישראל, גם לישראל יש תלונות כלפי קטאר, החל מהתמיכה שלכם באחים המוסלמים, גם לגבי איך שישראל מוצגת באל-ג'זירה, גם לעובדה שאתם נוקטים בסנטימנט אנטי-ישראלי בקמפוסים ובקולג'ים. אני מברך לקדם בברכה את הרעיון של הנשיא להקים קבוצה תלת-ראשית שתתייחס לטענות ההדדיות שלנו, לתלונות ההדדיות שיש לישראל ויש לקטאר. זה נוסח הדברים שאמר ראש הממשלה בתוך חדר הזמזז בשיחת הטלפון.
Hello to you, Edward Clark, and thank you for everybody that's still hanging on. We're waiting patiently for this press conference. Maybe we're getting closer now.
Tall guys are always in the front row.
I'll flash. So the story, I'll tell you the story with Sharansky. So it's the Bush gets elected Tuesday, November 2004.
Right.
The following Monday, I'm on the book talk. It just comes out of Monday.
Okay.
On Tuesday, we're in the American Enterprise Institute. Broad numbers for the book.
Can't run. We're crashing. Could have been the toast. Try Lingo. It tracks your glucose so you can learn what works for you. Next time, we need to add what? Eggs. Or protein.
When people ask me what I do, I can never choose just one thing to describe myself. I'm a YouTube creator, obviously, but I'm an engineer.
So this is why on Thursday. Tuesday. I say Thursday. The next 2 days later, they want you to be there Tuesday. It was like the next day or the day after that. It was like the president would like to be there. And I want you at 11 o'clock on Thursday. I said, my leader said, this is someone's budget. I said, no, I can't do it. We have the Pope and one out here to it, right? And then they said, no, this is really the one house. It was 2 o'clock. So 2 o'clock, the president. I said, we got the Pope at 3 in Canada. And they say it again. I said, well, we got the Dalai Lama at 1. We got the Pope at 3. We're not going to fit him in. He goes, would you like to call back? And leave it. And I look.
Do you guys like all the new gold trim in the White House? What do you think about Donald Trump's design?
I understood. I got it. And then we were in the Oval Office 2 days later. It was supposed to be a half hour. It went on for like an hour and 10 minutes. And it does not come so humble. Basically, it affected the whole process of administration. The problem that they had is they allowed for elections to happen. So stupid. And not to know to see what you do. It's just, you know, the freedom without it ever being charged was Russian. You say that. Anyway. Purple fingers, yeah, exactly. That means he never met a right-wing reporter.
Okay, guys, please hit the like button, share, and subscribe. We're about to start, it looks like.
What I said yesterday, I humbled myself in Rommel before. At least I'm just saying that over. But I really don't think there's any possibility. It's not the first 3 months left in the administration. No way. And I think the best.
The Abbey of Every Man says, cue the Imperial March for Trump's entrance.
Any of them. Okay, thank you. We'll see what happens. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay. The people of Israel, thank you for your attention to this matter. We should contribute. Okay, here's a trivia question. The only I know. He didn't catch it. But I think, okay. Those of you who get home are home too. Governs informal presence. Besides Washington. I think 72, I think. Oh, I 7. Mas Modena na No, Hoover lived a long time. No. He lived so long. Okay, have you let the home audience do it? The answer is Richard Nixon. They're listening to you. We're doing trivia. לא, נכון, באמת, בוודאות. לא זה. Right.
Information has gathered here inside the state. We have not seen the U.S. delegation. I know about 20 minutes ago, the meeting is still ongoing, so the president is confirming his officials were looking at here. But I will say that one thing the White House just did was make sure the communication of what we are going to hear from these leaders is they sent out a 20-point plan that the president and the White House did circulate to other nations last week and the last 2 days. It was 21 points on the initially based on what we had seen the copies of it by our officials or the world leaders. It is now 20 points. And I was just looking through it on my phone this way. It now makes me not strike hard. That was initially an agreement, or principle of Israel agreement not to strike hard, and that is no longer inside the White House just now. So we'll see what these tweets mean.
America's 500 times the and they've said I'm not going to
Now that timeline is 22 hours for that to happen. Or whether or not any of that happens still remains to be seen. It also remains to be seen.
deal with every state population. wish I could say the same. Hello. Long time. The big guns have arrived.
Is that Jared Kushner? Hello, Sam. Hello, Lavender. Welcome. Sam, a peace deal was proposed, so we're trying to see the outcome and if Israel really accepted it. Elvis says, I doubt it for real, for real.
States and the Prime Minister of the State of Israel.
Thank you very much, everybody. So this is a big, big day, a beautiful day, potentially one of the great days ever in civilization. Things that have been going on for hundreds of years and thousands of years. We're going to, at least we're at a minimum very, very close, and I think we're beyond very close. And I want to thank Bibi for really getting in there and doing a job. We worked well together, as we have with many other countries, both of us, with many other countries, which is the only way this whole situation gets solved. And I'm not just talking about Gaza. Gaza is one thing, but we're talking about much beyond Gaza. The whole deal, everything getting solved. It's called peace in the Middle East. So today is a historic day for peace, and Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have just concluded an important meeting on many vital issues, including Iran, trade, the expansion of the Abraham Accords, and most importantly, we discussed how to end the war in Gaza, but it's just a part of the bigger picture, which is peace in the Middle East. And let's call it eternal peace in the Middle East. So this is far more than anybody expected, but the level of support that I've had from the nations in the Middle East and surrounding Israel and neighbors of Israel has been incredible, incredible. Every single one of them. This afternoon, after extensive consultation with our friends and partners throughout the region, I'm formally releasing our principles for peace, which people have really liked, I must say. And these are done, not just routinely done, these are done with total consideration and working with the nations that we're talking about. All of these nations have made contributions to those suggestions. I want to thank the leaders of many Arab and Muslim nations for their tremendous support in developing the proposal, along with many of our allies in Europe. Europe has been very much involved, and as I was called by many of the European leaders, most of them saying, is this true? Are you really doing peace in the Middle East? This is the most incredible thing we've heard. Some think it's the biggest thing they've ever heard. They called just to find out, was it just a rumor or is it actually done? And then they said, have you spoken to the Arab leaders? Have you spoken to all of the other leaders that we have to get? A lot of people involved in this one. I also want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for agreeing to the plan and for trusting that if we work together, we can bring an end to the death and destruction that we've seen for so many years, decades, even centuries, and begin a new chapter of security, peace, and prosperity for the entire region. And I want to just say that my meetings and dialogue that we had with so many countries, Saudi Arabia as an example, the king is a phenomenal person. The Emir of Qatar, he's incredible people. UAE, and that's MBZ and ABZ. We're totally involved. These are the people that we've been dealing with and who've been actually very much involved in this negotiation, giving us ideas, things they can live with, things they can't live with. Pretty complex. I mean, after 2,000, 3,000 years, whatever it is, I guess it's got to be a little complex, or it would have been done a long time ago. The King of Jordan was with us, as you know, in the United Nations. The President of Turkey, President Erdogan, is a friend of mine, a strong man, but a good man. President of Indonesia, somebody who's an amazing leader, Prabowo. He is an amazing leader and respected by everybody. He was in the room with us. We were together with most of these people that I'm mentioning. Others were by phone or the next day. The Prime Minister and the Field Marshal of Pakistan, they were with us right from the beginning. Incredible. In fact, they just put out a statement that they fully believe in this pact. It just came out just as I was walking around. They said, sir, you have a big notice from the Prime Minister of Pakistan and from the Field Marshal that they back this 100%. President El-Sisi of Egypt, who's terrific. And these are people I've gotten to know over the years. I mean, I would say it started around 2015 and then went into 2016 when the presidency officially began. But I've known him actually for a long time, and there are many cases really great men. I can't say in all cases, but I will tell you in many cases they're great men and some great women too. They tend to be mostly men, however, I will say that. But if accepted by Hamas, this proposal calls for the release of all remaining hostages immediately, but in no case more than 72 hours. So the hostages are coming back, and I hate even saying this from the standpoint, doesn't sound right, but it is so important to the parents. The bodies of the young men, I believe in almost all cases, the young men are coming back immediately. I met with parents. The parents felt as strongly about getting the body of their dead boy back as they did as though the boy were alive and well. It's so important to them. And it means the immediate end to the war itself, not just Gaza. It's the war itself. Under the plan, Arab and Muslim countries have committed, and in writing in many cases, but I actually would take their word for it. The people I mentioned, I'd take their word for it, to demilitarize Gaza, and that's quickly. Decommission the military capabilities of Hamas and all other terror organizations. Do that immediately. And we're relying on the countries that I named and others to deal with Hamas. And I'm hearing that Hamas wants to get this done too, and that's a good thing. And destroy all terror infrastructure, including the tunnels, weapons, production facilities. They have a lot of production facilities that we're destroying. They'll also help train local police forces in the areas that we're discussing right now, in particular in and around Gaza, working with the new transitional authority in Gaza. All parties will agree on a timeline for Israeli forces to withdraw in phases. They'll be withdrawing in phases. No more shooting, hopefully, as progress is made toward achieving these goals. Arab and Muslim nations need to be allowed the chance to fulfill these commitments of dealing with Hamas. They have to deal with them because they were the one group that we have not dealt with. I haven't dealt with them. But the Arab countries are going to, and Muslim countries are going to be dealing with Hamas, and I believe they've already been there. I think they probably have an understanding, and they haven't maybe mentioned that, but I would imagine they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone as far as they've gone. If they're unable to do so, then Israel would have the absolute right, and actually our full backing, the U.S. full backing. Marco's here. A lot of our leaders are here. Our great Vice President, Susie Wiles, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. They've been so involved in this process. I don't think anybody else could have done it or even come close. But it's we're right there. We're right there. First time in thousands of years, I think you can probably say, if you really look into it, if you study back, if you're a scholar, you would say thousands of years. Israel would have my full backing to finish the job of destroying the threat of Hamas. But I hope that we're going to have a deal for peace. And if Hamas rejects the deal, which is always possible, they're the only one left. Everyone else has accepted it. But I have a feeling that we're going to have a positive answer. But if not, as you know, Bibi, you'd have our full backing to do what you would have to do. Everyone understands that the ultimate result must be the elimination of any danger posed in the region. And the danger is caused by Hamas. The tyranny of terror has to end. And this is, again, something that we're looking for. This is eternity. This is for forever. To ensure the success of this effort, my plan calls for the creation of a new international oversight body, the Board of Peace, we call it, the Board of Peace, sort of a beautiful name, the Board of Peace, which will be headed, not at my request, believe me, I'm very busy, but we have to make sure this works. The leaders of the Arab world and Israel and everybody involved asked me to do this, so it would be headed by a gentleman known as President Donald J. Trump of the United States. That's what I want, is some extra work to do, but it's so important that I'm willing to do it, and we'll do it right. And we're going to put leaders from other countries on, and leaders that are very distinguished leaders, and we'll have a board. And one of the people that wants to be on the board is the UK former Prime Minister, Tony Blair, good man, very good man, and some others. And they'll be named over the next few days. And it'll be quite the board. Working, everybody wants to be on it now. I don't know if that had anything to do. They named me and everybody else wanted to be on it. I guess they figure, well, he's a soft touch. He'll be easy to deal with. Working with the World Bank and others, it'll be responsible for recruiting and training a new government that will be made up of Palestinians, along with highly qualified experts from all around the world. Hamas and other terrorist factions will play no role in the board, but they'll play no role in the governance of Gaza at all, directly or indirectly. As you know, thousands of Hamas leaders have been killed and soldiers have been killed. And we can never forget October 7th, but thousands have paid the price for that. And now it's time to get our hostages back and get back to trying to build something that's really great and very important. In our meeting today, Prime Minister Netanyahu was very clear about his opposition to a Palestinian state. And he continuously mentions October 7th, and I understand that. Most people do. And I understand and respect his position on many things, but what he's doing today is so good for Israel. I noticed that they have large crowds gathering in Israel all the time, and they have my name up. They like me for whatever reason, maybe I don't know, but they do like me. But they say two things: please get the hostages back, and please end the war. They've had it. It's had it. So I think it's a very popular thing you do, because he's a warrior. He doesn't know about getting back to a normal way of life, but he is a warrior, and Israel's lucky to have him. But now the people want to get back to peace. They want to get back to normalization in a true sense. Several countries have foolishly recognized the Palestinian state. As you know, some of our European friends, allies, good people, but they're really, I think, doing that because they're very tired of what's going on for so many decades. They've been presidents and prime ministers for years, and during this time, having to do with the Middle East, all they're doing is talking about the same thing over and over. They want to see it get back. And nobody wants that more than me, or I believe Bibi too. But the people of Israel want it. They really want it. They want the hostages back. That includes the probably 32 bodies that we're talking about, 20 people that are living, 32 or so people that are dead, and they want to have peace. So let us not forget how we got here. Hamas was elected by the Palestinian people. Israel withdrew from Gaza thinking they would live in peace. Remember that a long time ago, they withdrew. They said, you take it. This is our contribution to peace. But that didn't work out. That didn't work out. It was the opposite of peace. They pulled away. They let them have it. And I never forgot that, because I said, that doesn't sound like a good deal to me. As a real estate person, I mean, they gave up the ocean, right? Ron, they gave up the ocean. They said, who would do this deal? And it still didn't work out. They were very generous, actually. And they gave up the most magnificent piece of land in many ways in the Middle East. And they said, all we want to do now is have peace. And that request was not honored. Instead of building a better life for the Palestinians, Hamas diverted resources to build over 400 miles of tunnels and terror infrastructure, rocket production facilities, and hid their military command posts and launch sites in hospitals, schools, and mosques. So if you went after them, you'd be after them, and you wouldn't even realize you ended up knocking out a hospital or school or a mosque. That terrible thing, terrible, terrible way to have to fight. No fight is good, but that's a real bad one. So there are many Palestinians who wish to live in peace. Many I've seen.
Ever wondered about the science behind a knock? ABC Legal does more than knock on doors. We eliminate the guesswork.
Challenge the Palestinians to take responsibility for their destiny, because that's what we're giving them. We're giving them responsibility for their destiny, fully condemn and prohibit terrorism and earn their way to a brighter future. They don't want the life that they've had. They've had a rough life with Hamas. If the Palestinian Authority does not complete the reforms that I laid out in my vision for peace in 2020, they'll have only themselves to blame. We're giving them an amazing footprint, and they have amazing support from the leaders of the Arab world and the Muslim world, the great leaders. These are great leaders. These are unbelievable leaders that have built great countries and very wealthy countries. What the future holds for the Palestinians, no one really knows, but the plan that we put forward today is focused on ending the war immediately, getting all of our hostages back, getting everything back. Hard to believe when you even say it, and creating conditions for durable Israeli security and Palestinian success. Israeli security is going to be involved. We're going to help you. We'll be there with you. In terms of helping with security, we want to make sure it works. We just want to make sure it works. There shouldn't be a shot fired. Now, there will be, I guess, because that's the way it seems to be, but they shouldn't have to be within a few days. There shouldn't have to be a shot fired. And maybe for eternity. Wouldn't that be nice? I hope it's true. I can tell you the leadership of that region feels that there's a good chance of it being true. So this will lead to this agreement that we're talking about will lead to a sustainable long-term peace. No president in history has been a greater friend of the state of Israel than I have, in addition to negotiating the Abraham Accords. I like to say it that way because the real people, that's what they call Abraham. I would say Abraham, but it's so much nicer when you say Abraham. So much more elegant. But the Abraham Accords, they were amazing. Jared, you did that along with your group of geniuses, and nobody thought that could be done. We have 4 countries, and Sleepy Joe Biden didn't do a thing. He didn't even know what the hell they were. He should have had them full up. But I think this will also lead to packing them. And who knows, maybe even Iran can get in there. I hope, we hope we're going to be able to get along with Iran. I think they're going to be open to it. I really believe that. But they could be a member. I long ago said, I'll bet you at some point Iran will be a member of the Accords. And little did I realize it was going to take this turn. That was some turn we did with the B-2s. But I think they might very well be there. It's a great thing for them economically. I recognize the eternal capital of Israel. I opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. That was something that everyone said would never be done, could never be done. Virtually every president for many, many years, for decades, would campaign on making Jerusalem the capital of Israel. They campaigned on it over and over. Is that right, Steve? Is that right? Everyone, and when they got to it, and I understand why now, because it was so. When I got to office, I campaigned on it too. I said, we're going to make it. And then I'd get calls from the leaders of various countries saying, please don't do it. Please don't do it. It'll end the whole world. Please don't do it. And finally, I just didn't say anything, and I did it. People were calling me before I did it because I heard I was going to do it. And leaders of countries were calling me. And I think it was on a Thursday that I did it. And they'd call me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3-4 times a day. And I said, tell them I'll call them back on Friday. And I announced it on Thursday. And I called them back, the biggest people in the world. And they said, you've done it. I said, done what? You've made the capital of Israel, Jerusalem. And we wanted to talk yet. I wish you called me a little sooner. Maybe I could have done something about it. So that was a lot easier than getting into an argument, because I knew what they were calling about. And you know what? It turned out to be amazing. Everybody thought it was going to lead to the end of the world, right? The end of the world, Ron. That's what they said. It didn't lead to anything. It just led to something that I promised, and something that was very, very popular for Jewish people and a lot of other people too. I recognize Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, and I cut taxpayer funding to the corrupt United Nations Relief and Works Agency. And United Nations was interesting because, as you know, a few days ago, they introduced me. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, I'm looking at my teleprompter, and the thing was dead, stone cold, dead. The thing's up here. I have a long, beautiful speech to make. I'm back 30 feet back, and I'm saying, they're introducing me. There's nothing on my teleprompter. So, but I made a speech. I actually got good marks. You think Biden could have done that? I don't think so. I don't think he could have done that. I don't think too many people could have done it. But actually, it was actually more of a speech from my heart, if you want to know the truth. I think it was maybe better in certain ways because it was from the heart. It has to be from the heart. Otherwise, you're in big trouble. But I cut taxpayer funding for that very corrupt United Nations Relief and Works Agency, and nobody thought that would be done, and withdrew from the horrible Iran nuclear deal that was imposed upon Israel by Barack Hussein Obama and Biden. And I don't think Biden knew anything about it, though. I don't think he knows anything about it now, actually, if you ask him. He said, what is that? And we obliterated Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity, making it impossible for them to have a nuclear weapon, which they would have had probably in about 2 months from that. But I've never asked Israel to compromise its security, but we had big, strong talk. Nobody's been better to Israel. No president's been better to Israel than Donald Trump. But we had a long, strong talk, Bibi and I, and he understands it's time. It's time. History has shown, and the people of Israel want it. And the people of the Middle East want it. The people of enemies of Israel want it, but they don't have really too many enemies right now. And you know what? Many countries have gained great respect for Israel, for the way they fight, for the job they do, including me. I had respect anyway, but they gained respect. History has shown us that those who have relations with Israel have thrived, while those who have devoted resources and attention toward the destruction and even annihilation of Israel have languished. They haven't done well. Israel is not going anywhere. They're going to coexist with other people and countries in the region, from Syria to Lebanon to Saudi Arabia. The promise of a new Middle East is so clearly within our reach. This is the closest we've ever come to real peace, not fake peace, not political fool's peace. If we can get this difficult problem solved, the opportunities for all within that vast region of this world, it's a vast region, it's unlimited. The Abraham Accords show that all countries are better off when they communicate and work together and embrace new opportunities. I hope Jared and Steve and Susie and Marco and JD, we have great people. I hope you guys are going to work very hard to get these other countries in, because now they have no excuse. There's no longer an excuse. They were some were hesitant. And I tell you, the 4 countries that went in, I give them tremendous credit, and it's worked out incredibly well for them. In the same spirit, I'm pleased to report that earlier today, we took another important step toward greater understanding in the region. A short time ago, we had a historic phone call in the Oval Office with Prime Minister Tani, who's really a great person. So we had a great talk, and I was on the phone, and Bibi was talking. Prime Minister Al Thani was of Qatar. They really had a heart-to-heart conversation. It was a great conversation, I thought. It was productive. It was everything that you need to have something turn out to be successful. And I want to thank Bibi, and I want to thank the Prime Minister. It was fantastic. We agreed to launch a formal trilateral mechanism between Israel, Qatar, and the United States to begin a dialogue to enhance mutual security, correct misperceptions, and avoid future misgivings. And I want to thank Qatar, its leadership, and the Emir. He's a fantastic person. I think, I'm going to be his public relations man because I know him differently than a lot of people know him. But he wants peace. He wants to see peace. And his people, and they really acknowledge the critical role that they played as mediator. And again, we're not quite finished. We have to get Hamas, but I think they're going to be able to do this. So now it's time for Hamas to accept the terms of the plan that we've put forward today. And again, this is a different Hamas than we were dealing with, because I guess over 20,000 have been killed. Their leadership has been killed 3 times over. So you're really dealing with different people than we've been dealing with over the last 4 years, 5 years. Everyone has done their part and come to the table in good faith. Our Arab and Muslim partners are fully prepared to step up and fulfill their commitments for the benefit of the people of Gaza and the entire region. They're willing to step up and do a lot. They really are. There are a lot of good people involved. Everybody who wants to see an end to the violence and destruction should be united in calling for Hamas to accept the extremely fair proposal so that we can end the war and get us back our hostages right now and have everlasting peace. And I look forward to having relationships with everyone. As the chairman of the board, I'll be involved, and we'll have meetings with some very smart people that'll be working over there to make sure that we haven't just been wasting time with an agreement that doesn't get done. The task of building peace will not be easy. There are some of the hardest problems in the world to solve, and that's why it's been going on for so many centuries. But too many lives are at stake not to try, and this was more than a try. I mean, I think this is something that gets done when you have virtually every country, and these are powerful countries that have a lot of money, and the money can make things happen. A lot of countries try and they don't have any money. These are very rich countries that can make things happen. So together we'll forge a much safer and more hopeful future for everybody, including Israel. And I want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for his partnership. And I want to thank all of the leaders, the kings and the emirs and the presidents and prime ministers, people I mentioned. And they've been absolutely fantastic to work with. And it's just happened very quickly. It's happened from a couple of weeks before I had a couple of meetings, but a couple of weeks before we went to the United Nations, and we had some incredible meetings. It all came to place. It all took place, and everybody wanted to be a part of it. I don't have anybody that's saying we don't want anything to do with it. It's just the opposite. And I'll tell you, a couple of years ago, a year ago, I don't think we would have had this kind of participation, Mr. VP, right? I don't think we would have had. It's been amazing. The participation was 100%. Everybody wants to be a part of it. And everybody, those very strong countries, everybody wants it to work. So, Bibi, congratulations on this. I think this will be your crowning achievement, frankly. If this all works out, we think it will. It's going to be your crowning achievement. And I want to thank you very much for being here. Thank you, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. President, first I want to thank you for graciously hosting me once again in the White House. And second, I want to thank you for your friendship and for your leadership. From Jerusalem to Tehran, from the Golan Heights to Gaza, you've proven time and again what I've said many times. You are the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. And Mr. President, you and I both know it's not even close. While you focus at home on making America great again, your leadership abroad is changing the world for the better, ending wars and advancing peace. I believe that today we're taking a critical step towards both ending the war in Gaza and setting the stage for dramatically advancing peace in the Middle East. And I think beyond the Middle East, in very important Muslim countries. I support your plan to end the war in Gaza, which achieves our war aims. It will bring back to Israel all our hostages, dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, end its political rule, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel. We would not have achieved this turning point without the courage and sacrifice of our incredibly brave soldiers. They fight like lions to defend the people of Israel, and they serve on the front line in the war between civilization and barbarism. Mr. President, when our two countries stand shoulder to shoulder, we achieve the impossible. Just a few months ago, in Operation Rising Lion and Operation Midnight Hammer, we struck a decisive blow against Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile program. Your bold decision to send those B-2s made the region safer and the world safer. Now, under your leadership, we're taking the next step to win the war and expand the peace. Your plan is consistent with the 5 principles my government set for the end of the war and the day after Hamas. Everybody asks, what is your plan for the day after Hamas? Here's our plan. Pass it in the cabinet. All our hostages, both those who are alive and those who died, all of them will return home immediately. Hamas will be disarmed. Gaza will be demilitarized. Israel will retain security responsibility, including a security perimeter for the foreseeable future. And lastly, Gaza will have a peaceful civilian administration that is run neither by Hamas nor by the Palestinian Authority. If Hamas agrees to your plan, Mr. President, the first step will be a modest withdrawal, followed by the release of all our hostages within 72 hours. The next step will be the establishment of an international body charged with fully disarming Hamas and demilitarizing Gaza. I appreciate your willingness to lead the body, Mr. President. I really appreciate it because you have a lot of things to do, and this is important. And it reflects the confidence that this will give everyone, that things will be followed up on all the commitments made. The fact that you're taking this on, I think helps a lot to make sure that everything flows in the direction that we want. Now, if this international body succeeds, we will have permanently ended the war. Israel will conduct further withdrawals linked to the extent of disarmament and demilitarization, but will remain in the security perimeter for the foreseeable future. I think we should understand that we're giving everybody a chance to have this done peacefully, something that will achieve all our war objectives without any further bloodshed. But if Hamas rejects your plan, Mr. President, or if they supposedly accept it and then basically do everything to counter it, then Israel will finish the job by itself. This can be done the easy way, or it can be done the hard way, but it will be done. We prefer the easy way, but it has to be done. All these goals must be achieved because we didn't fight this horrible fight, sacrifice the finest of our young men to have Hamas stay in Gaza and threaten us again and again and again with these horrific massacres. Mr. President, I was encouraged by your clear statement at the UN against the recognition of a Palestinian state. That would be an outcome that, after October 7th, would reward terrorists, undermine security, and endanger Israel's very existence. As for the Palestinian Authority, I appreciate your firm position that the PA could have no role whatsoever in Gaza without undergoing a radical and genuine transformation. In your 2020 peace plan, which you mentioned just now, you made clear what that transformation requires. It's not lip service. It's not checking a box. It's a fundamental, genuine, and enduring transformation. And that means ending pay to slay, changing the poisonous textbooks that teach hatred to Jews, to Palestinian children, stopping incitement in the media, ending lawfare against Israel at the ICC, the ICJ, recognizing the Jewish state, and many, many other reforms. It won't come as a surprise to you that the vast majority of Israelis have no faith that the PA Leopard will change its spots. But rather than wait for this miraculous transformation, your plan provides a practical and realistic path forward for Gaza in the coming years, in which Gaza will be administered neither by Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority, but by those committed to a genuine peace with Israel. I think this can be not only a new beginning for Gaza, I think it can be a new beginning for the entire region. Under your leadership, we can re-energize, I've got to contribute my own, we can re-energize the Abraham Accords. That's what it's called in the original Hebrew, Abraham. Abraham is fine, Abraham, however you want to call it. Under your leadership, Mr. President, we can re-energize the Abraham Accords that we forged 5 years ago. We can expand them to many more Arab and Muslim nations that choose moderation over extremism. I think there's an opportunity here. It's not going to be easy, it's tough going, but I think if we succeed, you're absolutely right. We're going to open possibilities that nobody even dreamed of. But I think we dream of them. As you've told me, Mr. President, and you've told the world many, many times, you said, remember October 7th. Remember October 7th. And we do. We will never forget the horrors of October 7th, and we will do whatever is necessary to make sure they don't happen again. Since October 7th, Israel's enemies have learned a hard truth. Those who attack us pay a heavy price, but those who partner with us advance progress and security for their peoples. President Trump just said it, it's also in the Bible. It says, those who will bless you will be blessed, and those who will curse you will be cursed. And that's actually what is happening. We want the blessings. I think we've done a lot in the past 2 years to end the curse. We're not finished, but we've done a lot. And we've done a lot together to end the curse. I want to thank your entire team for their efforts to get to this point. I especially want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for their indefatigable work to bring Israel and Arab states in the region closer together. I am deeply grateful to both of them for their work. We had a phone call today just to make it clear. I said to the Prime Minister of Qatar, Israel was targeting terrorists, wasn't targeting Qatar. And of course, we regretted the loss of the Qatari citizen, wasn't our target. And I very much appreciate President Trump's proposal to have a trilateral body, the United States, Israel, and Qatar, to work out respective grievances. There are quite a few. But if we can try to mitigate them or put it on a different footing, I think that'll be good for everyone. Above all the people, the fine team, many helpers who've done this, I want to thank you, Mr. President. History has already shown that under your leadership, Israel and America can change the face of the Middle East. And today I'm hopeful that your plan to end the war in Gaza will do so again and do so soon. It will free our hostages, end Hamas's.
Save time creating content and generate a high quality
for the peoples of our region. Thank you, Mr. President. May God bless America. May God bless Israel. May God bless the indispensable alliance between our countries. And may I add in Hebrew, may we all be inscribed in the book of life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, baby. So I think while we wait for these documents to be signed and get everybody in line, I think it maybe is not really appropriate to take questions. I'm meeting with, as you know, a couple of Democrats in a little while about the country, about keeping our country open. They're going to have to do some things because their ideas are not very good ones. They're very bad for our country. So we'll see how that works out. But this is something that was really historic today. This was something that was amazing. I think, Bibi, I mean, depending on you, I think while we're waiting for signatures and waiting for approvals from a lot of different countries that are involved in this, we probably shouldn't take questions? Or would you like to take a question or two from perhaps a friendly Israeli reporter, if there's such a thing?
That's a very, very tough proposition. But I would think, Mr. President, that I would go by your instinct that this is, we'll have enough time for questions. Let's settle the issue first, I think. No.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. So what do you guys think? You think they have a real deal? Donald Trump said for eternity. You think it's going to work? Tell us what you think in the comments. Okay. Thank you, JDP. Okay, so Roderick says, hell no. It's all words. You think so? Roberto says, yes, but you sound more like a hypocrite. Okay, all right, very good. Roberto, thank you for all of your participation today. It's been wonderful. Says, yes, let's don't forget we are all humankind. Okay, thank you very much. Very much. David Johnson is back again, says, my man, please tell the truth to your audience. All right, David, what is the truth? Tell us what the truth is. If you want to come up, I'd be more than happy to give you the floor. And we can discuss what the truth is, right? First, you would have to perceive that what Netanyahu is saying, and also Donald Trump, that the Israel that exists today is the same Israel that's in the Bible. You want to comment on that? If you want to embrace the 2,000 plus years coming from the Bible, right? You would have to look at it from that standpoint, that it's all one and the same. Do you prescribe to that or no? That's the first question I would have for you. Then you could argue, you could base many different arguments based on where you sit from that argument. So tell us what you think. Roderick says, funny how those people fighting for the Berbers land the truth in those people from Poland. Okay. You could expound more on that, Roderick. Tell us what you're talking about more. SFL says, Trump, not one black person has a top job in his business. His sons never ever hired a black person, as per a white woman who once worked for the organization. Okay. I don't find that hard to believe, so that's a good point you're making. All right. So it depends on how this turns out. You know, that's the big question. We've been hearing a lot of different promises, and there's been so many different words put forth, but when it comes to backing it up, as even Trump and Netanyahu said, if Hamas does not take the deal, it looks like they're going to be in hot water. And unfortunately, the people of Palestine have to take what comes down the pipeline, right? So it's a scary matter. Thank you guys for tuning in today. We've had a long day waiting for this press conference. It looks like there's a lot of hope in the air, but the real question is, will time prove this to be true? So we'll be observing, watching, and hoping for the best. But like they say, they have to prepare for the worst as well. All right, so we definitely will be back on air tomorrow at lunchtime to have news at noon. So stay tuned for that. This Friday, we have the final say for Sean Diddy Combs. We will have his sentencing. So I will be covering that all day. Tune in for that as well. As the news come out, I will definitely be reporting to you. From the standpoint of Sean Diddy Combs' attorneys, they think that they want him to get away, to leave with time served. But we know that the prosecutors are asking for way more. They want 20 years or more. So we'll see where the chips fall, right? But I definitely will be reporting it to you guys. And thank you so much. Let's see. Roberto says, instead of fighting who has the bigger D, let's don't forget that we share the same universe. That's right. We all share the same universe. And it's hard to get people to understand that concept because most of us, we like to fit in with a box, right? We want to be labeled a Republican. We want to be labeled as a Democrat. I'm a Christian. You're a Muslim, right? That's what most people lean toward in life. They want to be good. They want to be bad. But the minute you label a person or you judge them, you stop trying to understand the person, right? The minute a person says, oh, you're a Democrat? Oh, okay. I know exactly what you think. You don't even have to tell me anymore. I know exactly. Oh, okay. You're from Washington, D.C.? Oh, okay. I can pretty much tell you what you guys think about, right? Oh, you're from this country? Yeah, you guys love watermelon. You know, that's how some people who they think very narrowly, right? Roberto says they're saying to each other, okay, make sure you pay me up donations. Okay, donations. We hear that word a lot. Roderick says separatism at its best, right? That's what most people live for. They want to they want to identify with a certain group instead of trying to just do the right thing, right? Roberto says, like I said, we're not going to get a conference. Okay, no conference at all. Exactly. David Johnson says 1,700 Israeli killed in this war, 67,000 Palestinians killed. Wow, that's a big difference, right? A lot of lives have been lost. And this has been going on. Donald Trump was right. This has been going on for what? Thousands of years, right? If you prescribe that the Israel today is the same Israel that's in the Bible, right? Because these wars have been going on. And you could go back to the Bible and read that Israel was in one war after another, and they were out there looking for the promised land, right? Right. So it depends on what you prescribe to. A lot of people prescribe to the Bible. Other people prescribe to different holy books, right? And depending on which one you prescribe to, you could pretty much make a determination of the belief system, right? Although we do find that a lot of people today don't necessarily, just because they prescribe to the Bible doesn't mean they believe the same thing. In fact, there's so many different Christian denominations, right? It's an enormous amount of different Christians, and they all go to different churches or belong to a different religion. So we can't just put people into boxes just because that's what we try to lean on. Roderick says, no, it's not the same Israel. Far as people, the people were Ethiopian. Okay. All right. Thank you for your input, Roderick. Nice to have you giving your expressions. Okay, Roberto, thank you too. So that's it for today, folks. We've been on for going on 3.5 hours. It's time to get some food to move on with the day. If anything else striking happens, I do think that the shooter, the alleged shooter, Tyler Robinson, I think he's in court today. So maybe we've missed that, but if there's something left, I might go back live to report because it's live from court. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. We will definitely catch you later on. And until then, enjoy the rest of your day.
Different voices, but the same song. Living a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the thing remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days inside. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. The colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.